while more people will be here with us. So my dear participants, please make the best use of this course and please make the best use of this opportunity. I'm expecting you all to join on time. I'm expecting you all to be in the classroom physically, not just virtually. And resource persons like Dr. Shefali, later Professor Shakila Shamsu, and later Dr. S.K. Singh. These are very eminent people who will be sharing with you extremely useful information that will enable you to implement the national education policy in letter and spirit in your respective institutions and become a proactionary actor and factor as a practitioner in the area of higher education. The entire higher education sector, I must say. So we have tried to cover all the themes. You must have seen the timetable on the group. I request you also to go through the guidelines. You have to give 2 MCQ tests. One will be today and one will be on the last day. And on the basis of these tests, your performance will be evaluated and we will be giving out your certificates and we will be giving out your grades also. There are grades too. So if you want an A+, you have to be really serious and sincere in the class. I'm glad you are in the able care, day-to-day care of Dr. Nasir Ali. My team and I, Mr. Mazhar Haider Zaidi, Mr. Kalu Khan and Mr. Zulfiqar will be there at the forefront to take care of anything that you come across. Please be on mute in the classroom. Please never present. And also, if you ask a question, please speak. This is a group comprising 90 to 95% of participants who are friends from the southern India. Therefore, our resource persons will majorly be showing their slides in English, and they will also be adopting English as the medium of instruction. However, if somebody in the classroom who has problem 100% English, we know some queries and other things will also be solved in a Bible manner. But in this classroom, so thanks so much, Dr. Nasir. It's over to you. Please take care of the group and please let sure that everybody joins. And let us. I am deeply, deeply committed to giving you all very happy time here. If there are any doubts, any queries that you have for the education policy, I will be glad that when you go from more equipment, some more arms with the know-how of the national education policy. Thank you so much. Shefali, once again, I'm so grateful for your time and I look forward to participants being thoroughly impressed with you and to participants learning from you something that will be with them forevermore. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you so very much for giving me an opportunity to again meet you and interact with all your participants there. Thank you. And it's always, pleasure to connect with you, whether it's offline and online. ठीक है. और जैसा हमेशा ही होता है, I always say that if you want to make your day, meet your good friends. So you made my day again. Thank you. A commitment to every program is in every program it is reflected, and I always say you are an inspiration for everyone. How dedicatedly you perform everything, so meticulously planned, and never giving up, still on the toes, always 24/367. So my all good wishes to you, and I congratulate you for doing so well. In the entire country, you are the only one who is performing that kind of, performance is there with you.
It's all because of my extended group of people like you and, of course, Dr. Nasir and the participants. Thank you so much. Very humbling.
And thank you, Nasirji, for connecting with me. And uh, I hope that we will be associated. Hmm. And if- obviously, with this institution, which is organizing this NEP, I must congratulate you all. And I extend my greetings to you as well, and to all the participants, those who have joined here, all my friends and my colleagues from the different institutions, from the different disciplines, those who have assembled here on this very important topic of NEP awareness and sensitization, and to discuss about the various things of while we are in the phase of implementing this policy. Hmm. So I extend my greetings for my own center, Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center at Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya. सभी को हरियाणा की तरफ से राम राम नमस्कार. And very good afternoon to each and every one of you. Since we are having a diverse group, as Dr. Faiza has already informed me, and I will be discussing a very important topic, which is of this NEP. But I'll request the participants to please, all of you, my friends here, please switch on your cameras. Otherwise, talking to the wall is no fun. Hmm? So I request you, please be there, be more interactive, because I'm also a teacher like you. So I have not come to lecture you here. Hmm. So it will be better if we can have a dialogue. If you can put in your observations, your questions in between, you can unmute and ask anytime. You may raise your hand, and I will then invite you for your, for your inputs. Hmm. So thank you so very much. Many of you are connected with the phone, so it is your names are not very much visible, but yes, Durga ji is there, Dr. Ishar Laidia ji is there. Hmm. So thank you for, and many others, those who I can see on the screen, they have turned on their cameras. Thank you. Hmm. So the one important topic which this NEP says about is about the integration of the indigenous knowledge into the course curriculum. जिसके ऊपर आज हम बात करेंगे. Hmm. Since we all are in the phase of implementation of this policy, and this policy, because it is the first day, I suppose, you have just started. है ना? This is the first session. So let me give a little about the NEP first, and then we will come on the integration of the this IKS into our course curriculum. So this policy, which has come roughly around 40 years after the previous policy in the 1986, it has many things to share in common. The previous policies and the new policy all have the very common things. That is the holistic development of the students. That is to answer the three most important questions. One is the access, equity, and the quality of the education. Uh, and then talking about the multidisciplinary, talking about the interdisciplinary use of ICT into the teaching, then also talking about the research, the quality of research, improvement of the quality of teaching in the classrooms. Hmm. All these things have already been discussed in the previous policies as well, in this policy as well. Hmm. Because the basic objective of the education will remain same, and the policies will revolve around the basic objective of education. So this policy also discuss about it, but certain things have changed. Few new things have been added. What do you find have been added into? Because we have been discussing this policy for quite some time. Hmm. Any new thing which you feel that this policy has brought in?
A multiple entry and exit point.
Yes, exactly. बहुत अच्छा. Thank you. Tanmoy ji, thank you.
Skill-based learning and multidisciplinary approach.
Yes, skill-based learning and multidisciplinary approach. Or Anything else? There are so many things which has been added here. So multi-entry and multi-exit. We are talking about the internationalization of education, which we were not discussing earlier. Now we are focusing more on the global education. We are talking about the globalization of our education as well. And then we are also, we are also looking forward to making our India more skilled with the value system derived out of the integrated, from the indigenous value system of our country. That is something which has come. And this is a first policy which, which coordinates with the school as well, right from the pre-primary. Nobody has ever talked about that there were the three different parts. We have always discussed education as pre-primary, then school education, and then we have talked about the tertiary education. So higher education we have kept different. So the recognizing bodies, they have, they have been drafting the rules and regulations for the recognition of those courses and the disciplines and the programs, and they have their own set of rules and governed by separately. So it will be governed separately even now. There will be recognizing institutions as well. But there is a coordination from the pre-primary to the tertiary education. And this is the first policy which is coordinating the entire education system. They're talking about what should be done at the pre-primary level, and then at the school level, and then at the higher education level. So most of the things which will be coming, which will be implemented, many things out of those will be implemented in the school. Like coding will be implemented in the school right from the 6th and onwards. There will be the multiple language teaching in the school itself. There will be, this indigenous knowledge systems will be integrated in the school curriculum as well. Then if we are talking about the financial literacy, if we are talking about the legal literacy, it will again be a part of the school education system as well. We are talking about the use of the Indian languages into the education, into the teaching, and even the medium of instructions. We are talking about that that should be changed to the local language. Since we already had a three language formula in our education system, but with a different perspective we are talking about here. We are saying that the pre-primary education has to be compulsorily in the mother tongue, but it has been restricted mandatorily only for the pre-primary. It has not been imposed onto the school education and the higher education. But still, because we all were facing the challenges where our students were not, we come from a rural women university located in Sonepat, into the rural heartland of this Haryana. Most of the girls do not know English. They feel very hesitant to write in English. So most of the time they used to, write the Hindi, terms for most of the things in most of the subjects. So we should not fail them, and we should not, deprive the students from learning based on the language. That you have to learn this language, otherwise we'll deprive you. So there are certain things which are good, but that has been taken over by the higher education system as well. So we are promoting that use of the Indian languages into the higher education system as well. Even the medical courses are now accepting to use these languages as a part of teaching, because one thing which this policy discuss about is critical thinking. Is second, it talks about is creativity. It talks about innovation. There are numerous examples in the world where they have, changed their entire country, and they have moved from the recession to the development positions just by changing their education system. Australia is an example. Korea is an example. Japan to hamesha se hi tha. They have always been using their education in every country. Even Bangladesh, such a small country, which which was just a part, which is a sibling of of our country, जो हमारे ही देश का टुकड़ा था पर एक अलग कंट्री के तौर पे एस्टेब्लिश हुआ, उसने भी अपनी एजुकेशन सिस्टम के अंदर बहुत बदलाव किया. And today, if we are talking about and we are discussing Bangladesh, it's only because of their education system. And even, there was a time when the Bangladesh students used to come to India, they looked towards India and the other countries for the higher education. Now, Indian students are going to Bangladesh to study, especially medicine and all. MBBS particularly, and Bangladesh is the, you know, the percentage of qualifying the licentiate exam or the FMG exam in India for the students, those who are qualifying from the Bangladesh, is the highest in the world. जो बच्चे हमारे यहाँ से वहां जाते हैं और MBBS करके जब यहाँ पर आकर अपना FMG का एग्जाम देते हैं, तो बांग्लादेश से पढ़े हुए बच्चों का मैक्सिमम पेपर क्लियर होता है. The percentage is highest among the Bangladesh. So this is the quality the Bangladesh, a small country like Bangladesh is offering. A small country like Korea, which was in the recession, they have, changed everything through the education. They have become more innovative. How they have achieved their technological advancement is a case study to study for India and for all of us, to take the inspiration, how the education system can make your student more creative, more innovative, and how the country structure and the entire economy can drive out of that. So they adopted that thing to improve. They implemented a culture of innovation in their higher education system, and the governments and their government supported it to do so. And this is how they improved. So every country, if they really want to outperform and to have their economic development, it is through the education. So this policy plays a very important role when we are talking about with the highest population in the country and with the youngest population of the world. We have to make the changes in the higher education system in such a way that this youngest, highest population of the world is skilled enough to grab those opportunities, to create more opportunities, and then we can also contribute towards as a teachers in the nation building. So having said that, if we really go about what two main things that has been discussed in this education policy is that it should be a value-based education. This policy even give a lot of thrust onto that, though every policy has always given it, but strongly it has been emphasized here how we can inculcate the values in our students. Second thing is to have the skilled, to make them more skilled. So but in all these aspects, India has always been lagging behind in preservation of its indigenous knowledge. We have never integrated it with our education system. So if we are coming very late, because when we got freedom from the British as a British colony in 1947, every country, whenever they had a liberation, whenever they got they were liberated and they were declared as an independent country, the first thing every country did was to resume back to their languages and to resume back to their own education system. But India has unfortunately not did that. So if we are coming to our indigenous cultural backgrounds now, we are late, but okay. वो कहते हैं ना से तो देरी भली, वो भी है, because the indigenous knowledge which remains with India can help overcome a lot of global problems that we are discussing and many problems that we are talking about in our own country, because India has been very rich in the knowledge and which is scientifically proven. Even today, the NASA, we talk about that this is written in our Vedas and this is what the NASA has declared. NASA has said that yes, it is a scientific fact which has been given in that. So a lot of researchers has been reproved again and again over the period of time that whatever we have in the different fields, it can be integrated, it can be taken up, and it can be known to the students of our country as well. So let me share my screen with all of you. Please tell me if it is visible or not. Is it available?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, visible, yes.
Thank you, Ji. So, but before we move on, let me have a vague idea of how do you understand indigenous knowledge? How do you understand indigenous knowledge? What is your understanding about it? What indigenous knowledge is? Sorry, in the beginning, I forgot to ask whether I should be bilingual or English. I should speak in English. Or it has to be bilingual. How would you prefer? आपको क्या लगेगा, इंग्लिश में बात की जाए या फिर हिंदी में, या दोनों में बात की जाए?
मैम दोनों में.
English is okay, ma'am.
इंग्लिश से हिंदी इज ओके.
English okay, ma'am.
Okay, right. Just a second. I need to take this call. Hello.
No, ma'am, it's on a call actually, she told.
I'm sorry, it was a call from my authority, so I have to take it. जी जी, यहाँ पर आपने लिखा है local traditional knowledge, know its values, beliefs and experiences, all are the part of it. जी बहुत धन्यवाद पंचाली जी, thank you so very much. जहाँ हम indigenous की बात करते हैं, yes, it is certainly the traditional knowledge which is given by the indigenous people or the local people. And local people whom we are referring as local people is, अगर हम इसकी appropriate definition लेते हैं या फिर हम इसको बोलें कि let us go by the terminology of the indigenous, so local people will stand for indigenous people. Because we are using it in a layman language, so we will say that जो यहीं के लोग हैं, है ना, that is what the indigenous communities stand for. But indigenous has nothing to do only with the Indi, है ना, मतलब India doesn't means indigenous. Indigenous is any knowledge which has been generated by the the people of those areas, those who are native of those areas, those who belong to those regions or those places, and they have generated some kind of knowledge, and that knowledge has been transmitted from one generation to the another generation, and successively it has been a continuous process. And that is why if we describe this indigenous knowledge systems as in Hindi, so we always use Bharatiya Gyan Parampara. But indigenous is not Bharatiya Gyan Parampara. Indigenous is anything which is given by the indigenous people. So Gyan Parampara means the knowledge which has been transferred as a parampara from one generation to the another generation, and that successively has been there in all the communities and everywhere throughout the world, whether it be Africa, whether it be Asia, whether it is China, India, whether it is Japan, whether it is Greek, any civilization. We are one of the oldest civilization on this earth. China has also been one of the oldest civilization here. So there has been the people, those who belong to the indigenous communities, means the people, those who belong to a particular region, and the local knowledge which has been generated by these people and that is transferred usually in the form of the cultural rituals or the word of mouth. It's more in the listening form, listening to the elders, listening to our generations. It flows like that. But now we are trying to document it. All the governments, they are trying to document it, preserve their indigenous knowledge, because it's of a great value. It tells us what our civilization was, where our roots are, and what kind of our history has been there in this of our country or of our people. So apart from that, it has so much to give, so much knowledge to give to every successive generation. See, I always say, if we are rich enough, hmm, even if we are so wealthy, and most of the aristocrat families, or that there were the kingdoms once in every part of the world, and India has also seen so big kingdoms. There were so many rulers, they were there, so many big kings were there. Even if we talk about the Ram, if we talk about Krishna, even if we talk about Gupta dynasty, Mauryan dynasty, and many other dynasties, which were very big and very prevalent once upon a time. And all, not, if we don't go much into the deeper past of our country, into the ancient time, if we talk about the very recent phases of of Tipu Sultan or Akbar, how many of us remember who their children are, where their children are these days? If we talk about the wealth. Ji Simi ji, you have raised your hand. Please, you can unmute and say. अच्छा, वो शायद गलती से हो गया होगा इनका. Do we remember? Even if we talk about Shivaji, Maharana Pratap, and so many. So do we remember? Do we know where their children are? What kind of kingdom do they have? Yes, please. बताएं. किसी को पता है ये रजवाड़े कहाँ गए? क्या कर रहे हैं with all these wealth? No? Please be generous to say yes or no. Do you know even one? आप में से कौन किसी को जानते हैं क्या?
Yes, ma'am.
जी पार्था जी, बताएं.
Maharana Pratap. Oh, Shivaji is the founder of the Maratha dynasty.
जी. और आज वो उनकी जो जनरेशन है वो कहाँ है?
महाराष्ट्र में.
महाराष्ट्र में है. और उनको कितने लोग जानते हैं?
मेरे हिसाब से all Indian people also known him. He was.
कुछ लोग वहां के जानते हैं, है ना?
हाँ. सब इंडिया कितना परसेंटेज मालूम है, जानता है वो मालूम नहीं, लेकिन मेरे हिसाब से उनको पता है शिवाजी के बारे में.
जी, शिवाजी के बारे में तो सब जानते हैं, पर शिवाजी की आज उनके बच्चे या उनका परिवार कहाँ है, किधर है, ये जानते हैं?
ये नहीं है.
ये नहीं जानते, है ना? This is what I am asking. Do we know where their successive generations are, who they are? No. But everybody remembers शिवाजी, है ना? शिवाजी को सब याद करते हैं. और शिवाजी के बारे में हम क्या याद करते हैं? क्या फौलाद पर्सन थे वो, है ना? How strength and what kind of a character he was. We remember him because of his personality.
Shivaji, he was the first Indian Hindu ruler. But Shivaji, the first Indian Hindu ruler who stand against the Mughal. That time Mughal was the most powerful under the time of especially Aurangzeb.
For Swaraj, है ना?
And also introduced a new concept of Swaraj.
Yes. So this is what I'm saying, that the things that remain with us is the knowledge, is the values which get transferred from one generation to another. But wealth, it vanishes. There were such big dynasties which has ruled our country over one period or the other period of the time. There were such big dynasties. We don't know even where they have gone, what kind of, how there will be so many wealthy people around. But it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the wealth doesn't matter. What can be transmitted from one generation to another? We never know what we inherited at that time and today what we are. Some of us might have lost the wealth of our inheritance. Some might have acquired, but might have, might not be maintaining that large amount of the wealth that we were having, and that cannot be transcended for the 20th generation, 25th, or the 100th generation. We never know who was our 100th generation, if we go back to our predecessors. So it becomes so very difficult. But unanimously, and we understand what has been given to us by these indigenous societies or these indigenous people to us over the period of time. That was a knowledge which was transcended to us for the thousands of years, and which we are even, transcending into our successive generation. And that is why it is called as parampara. And the knowledge is the only thing which can be transmitted as a parampara from one generation to the another generation. So there has been a culture of preservation of the indigenous knowledge, and then transmitting it from one generation to the another generation, through the stories, through the narrations, through the songs, through the art, through culture, through the practices that we have been adopting over a period of time, through the rituals or the celebrations, or as our values. So all these things are transcended to our next generation. So it is the only knowledge which remains. Rest, the people go, they come and they go, the kingdoms come and go, the wealth come and go, but knowledge remains the same. And that is why a process has been generated where this knowledge shall be transmitted from one generation to the another generation. And that is the importance of the indigenous knowledge systems. And every country do so. It's not only India that India is trying to, integrate its indigenous values or the indigenous knowledge into the things, but every country do. Every country take pride in whatever they have generated in the past, whatever their ancestors have generated in their past. And that is the glory of a country, of being a nation, that this is a contribution that the nation has made in the various fields. And India is having such a rich base in every field, and we know it very well. So there is no harm in use of the knowledge which has already been discovered, which has already been scientifically proved by our ancestors. We can utilize it in the applied areas, into our living practices. It can easily be taken up, and that will help us to make our life easier. It will provide us with the knowledge. It will help us to live our lives in a better way. So that is why the indigenous knowledge is preferred by every country to be sustained, to be conserved, and to be preserved in many forms. Similarly, Indian government is also trying to do to make the same thing. So if we talk about this population and the things that has been propounded by these indigenous people, the scope doesn't remain to or confined to few things. It can be anything. It can be practices. It can be the way we are living. It can be the survival tactics can be there. It can be, general observations can be there. It can be like how we do agriculture. It can be food preparation. It can be any kind of a science. It can be conservation. It can be any knowledge system. It can be anything, but the scope is not limited to. But we have to understand that the indigenous people are recognized world over. And the UN has also given a universal definition to that. It says that these are the people, those who have the social, cultural, and economic conditions which distinguish them from the other sections of the national communities. And their status is regulated by the special laws, customs, or traditions. And they have their own set of regulations. Like if I talk about Haryana, here in this part of the country, and especially UP as well, and Rajasthan as well, getting married into the same villages was never though accepted as a part of our indigenous system. The local communities here, even today, they do not get their children married in the same gotra of their father and mother, and they do not allow them allow their children to marry in the same village, as a concept which was laid down by the special rules and regulations by such communities, indigenous communities, was that getting married into the same gotra or the same community will affect the safety and security of the society. तो ये सारे समाज का ताना बाना हिला देगी, because living in the same village means we all are brother and sisters. So with that concept in the mind, to create a safe and a secure environment for children, because at that time everybody used to go for the agriculture, they leave in the morning, they come in the afternoon or in the evening, so they have their children behind to create a safest environment for them. So they have created a society with the special customs and traditions which do not allow them to get married, by treating each other as brothers and sisters. So that was basically the origin. And then also in the same gotra, it's scientifically proven that getting married into the same growth, only, the recessive genes of diseases, they get dominant. There are more chances of having the diseases if within the same gotra, if the marriages are made. So certain rules are made. Even today, if the children get married into the same villages or within those gotra, which are not permitted, they kill their children in the name of honor killing. Okay, because they are governed by the special laws and regulations. Even, the government also try to protect those indigenous people, because they have their own customary values. Like if we see the communities, the tribal communities into the interiors of Maharashtra, into the Tamil Nadu, or into Karnataka, or Andhra Pradesh, or Chhattisgarh, and many other states, Orissa, even Andaman Nicobar, these communities differ from the other communities. They have their own set of rules. Though we have the Constitution of India, which do not restrict anyone, it has given enough liberty, enough freedom, but still we are regulated by those customary norms where we are living and where we are living in those communities. It governs us. So we recognize the indigenous people, because there are no less. These are 370 million in number, which has been, counted in the year 2018. There was 370 million population was there and recognized as indigenous by the UN. And, there was a study done by one professor in a university. He worked on the indigenous communities, and he talked about, and he has given a fact that there are more than 28% of the global land area is owned, managed by these indigenous people. So this is a huge community which cannot be ignored, and it affects, it impacts our everyday decision making. Like if I am regulated by if my local community is regulated by certain customary norms, and we are not allowed to get married into the same gotra or the same village, so that means our decision making, our communication, our socio-cultural information which is there in our society will restrict me from many things, and I have to follow and abide by those customary laws. So every day-to-day life of what I will wear, what I will eat, how I will, talk, how I will react in the social communities, all come from the socio-cultural information or the socio-cultural environment that we create in the societies, and it affects my day-to-day decisions. So that is why whatever indigenous knowledge is, it is giving us a direction to decide on a lot of things. And if we talk about the Indian knowledge system, the indigenous knowledge, like, Ayurveda, which was propounded in India, because Ayurveda Bharat में ही इजाद हुआ, आप सब लोग जानते हैं. Yes or no? Please type in the chat box or do thumbs up, क्योंकि कैमरास तो फिर सबके बंद हो गए हैं ना. Thank you. Thank you so much. So that means ये indigenous to India हुआ. It is indigenous to India. So the things which has been given by the indigenous people, and what period do we consider as indigenous people, indigenous time or the indigenous knowledge? Prior to the 18th century. Because after 18th century, we take that period as modern era. So before modern era, whatever knowledge has been generated by these indigenous people, And who are the indigenous people? Those who are the, those who have the origin of that area. If it is the origin of the people, the knowledge which has been originated by the people from China, it will be called as indigenous to China, generated by their indigenous people. If the indigenous people of Japan has given some kind of a knowledge, that becomes indigenous to Japan. For example, the concept of minimalization. Now Japan is using their indigenous values of a concept of minimalization into their day-to-day living. They have revived that value from their indigenous culture, which says that you should use the minimum number of resources which are required, to live your life in a decent way, but don't overdo or do not collect a lot of resources. Hmm. So they are a kind of now trying to put a restriction on the use of the resources by using the concept of minimalization. If I need 10 clothes to wear for my duties or for my jobs and at the different times, so I should have only 10 you know 10 dresses only. If I require only this much amount to be consumed by me, that a half liter of the water is required or the 1 liter of the water is required, then I should not hold for 5. Let us have the minimum thing with us. So whatever do we need to utilize up to the minimum quantity without wasting the resources of the nature, that is going to help. How this concept of minimalization is going to help? We are wasting so many resources. We are polluting the environment with the carbon footprints. We are every day evolving, releasing a lot of carbon into the atmosphere. So with this, we are under a global pressure of deteriorating environment. So this concept of minimalization of the indigenous values of Japan can help to optimize the use of the resources. This is how the indigenous knowledge is helpful. So if we talk about India, which are the oldest texts known to be the indigenous in India, हमारे सबसे पुराने ग्रंथ कौन से हैं? सबसे पुराना अगर हम ये कहें कि ये भारतीय ज्ञान है, तो वो क्या है?
ऋग्वेदा मैम.
Yes, certainly ऋग्वेद. है ना? वेद आर द वन जो कि हमारे सबसे पुराने टेक्स्ट कंसिडर होते हैं. All 4 Vedas, if we say, and the oldest of all 4 Vedas is the Rig Veda. वो सबसे पुराना है. And if we talk about सामवेद, जी बिल्कुल, 4 वेद में से सामवेद एक और वेद है. अगर हम अथर्ववेद, यस, अगर हम बात करें वेद की, तो हमारे पास 4 वेद हैं, जिसमें से एक हमारा है ऋग्वेद, which includes the hymns and the praises of the various deities. Then Yajurved, performing the rituals and the sacrifice formulas are given in that. We talk about the Samved, it is the chants and the melodies. इसको गायन की फॉर्म में रखा गया था सामवेद को, so that you can sing the suktas of the Vedas. Then Atharvaved with spells, and it gives us a direction. The everyday guidance is provided, and how to live our life is described in Atharvaved. So we have these 4 Vedas, and these are considered to be the oldest indigenous text. We all know these are the oldest indigenous text. And these are not all the oldest to be known till date, but these are the oldest ever known on the earth. सबसे पुराने माने जाते हैं. And that is why, these Vedas, as we describe, is Aparushe. Aparushe means not written by human. They say that it existed when this earth was created. So it's existing since that time, because it contains all the information related to the space, to the earth, to every human being, every creature. So it contains every information regarding that. So every life form. So that has been discussed. So if we estimate the time period, still the time period, how old Veda are? Any idea?
1500 BC to 1000 BC.
500 BC to 1000 BC.
So 1500 BC to 1000 BC. During period, Rig Veda was written.
Okay.
And many other Vedas are written from that periods, from 1000 BC to
500 BC.
500 BC. Then many Vedas are written.
Yes. Since Ved is the oldest text of our country, and
Yeah.
Celebrated as our oldest indigenous knowledge that India has, because if we go and estimate the time when these Vedas were created, or they originated, or they were written form came very late. It was always in the Shruti form. Shruti means in a verbal form, which was,
Yeah.
which was taught from one generation to the another generation. But, it was never documented at that period of time. It was always through the teaching verbally. And in सभी गुरुकुलों के अंदर जो हम ancient Indian education system देखते हैं, that is a Gurukul system, they have been teaching Vedas to everyone. If we talk about Krishna, how old is the Krishna? What time period?
Don't know, ma'am.
Okay.
First Sri Krishna have been found only from the Mahabharata period. There is no any debate. There is no any name in Sri Krishna name has not been found in any debate. Vedas.
We have a scientific proof of, the Krishna time period. Recently, we have, discovered the submerged Dwarka in the Dwarka Sea, near the Dwarka temple.
Yeah.
In that sea. So there was a story that when the Krishna was going to, leave this earth, and he went into the jungle where he was to be killed by that Bhil. So, and
Ma'am, can you tell me the period of the Dwarka?
about
About the period of the Dwarka?
Dwarka, yes, I'm telling you about Dwarka in Gujarat.
Yeah.
Last year, Gujarat has started, undersea tourism to Dwarka. But that is the, the kingdom of the this Krishna submerged into the sea at that time when the Mahabharata took place. After a few years, when there was a fight between the Yadus and the other community, the entire Dwarka submerged into the sea at the time when Krishna was leaving this earth. जब कृष्ण की मृत्यु हो रही थी तो द्वारका उसके बाद डूब गई थी नगरी. और ये द्वारकाधीश जहाँ पे मंदिर बना हुआ है, तो दैट वाज द किंगडम ऑफ द कृष्णा, बिकॉज द्वारका के राजा थे ना कृष्ण. तो जब वो डूबी है और ये अब डिस्कवर किया गया है द्वारका को अंडर द सी वाटर, द लास्ट ईयर इन द year 2024, the honorable prime minister of our country started the, this tourism, sea tourism to visit the Dwarka. अब आम लोगों के लिए खोला गया है. पनडुब्बी के माध्यम से आप जाके द्वारका के दर्शन कर सकते हैं जो कृष्ण की नगरी थी. And when its carbon dating was done, it is estimated to be 6,000 years old. ये स्टोरी हम सब जानते थे, ये बात हम सब जानते थे कि द्वारका डूब गई थी, पर द्वारका कभी मिली नहीं थी. अब द्वारका मिल गई है. जब हम राम की बात करते हैं, so there was a setu built, a bridge was built between India and the Sri Lanka, जिसके माध्यम से the entire सेना, this all वानर सेना traveled through that. राम इसी के माध्यम से जो है वो तमिलनाडु से श्रीलंका पहुंचे थे लड़ाई करने के लिए रावण के साथ. So that bridge, which is popularly known as Ram Setu, satellite pictures taken by NASA has already proven that it is there. So we have already collected that. So the thing is, if we talk about Krishna, it's already proved that Krishna was there 6,000 years before. And if we talk about how do I am relating it Vedas is that when Krishna went to Gurukul for the formal learning, into the school, he was taught all the 4 Ved. चारों वेद पढ़ाए गए थे. And he got skilled in all 16 skills. he had all those 16 skills which Krishna possessed. So he was such a perfect person. And that is why Krishna is known to be the perfect skilled person on this earth, who knows what to say. Even if we talk about communication skills, if we talk about Shastra Vidya, if we talk about relationship, if we talk about any kind of, skill, you talk about the life skills, he was complete and perfect in that. He was expert in that. So 16 की 16 कलाएं जितनी हमारी उसमें आती हैं, सब उसके अंदर, कृष्ण के अंदर थी. And he not only learned the 4 Veda, but he know how to and where to apply Ved. Even if we go beyond, when Ram is considered, to be born even before the Krishna came. बहुत पुराने अगर हम बात करते हैं तो राम उनसे भी पुराने हैं. और रामचरितमानस को जब हम पढ़ते हैं, when we study Ramayan, we see that Ram was also sent into the Gurukul where he was taught 4 Ved. So that means Ved existed even at that time when Ram took the formal education. Even Dashrath was made to learn all the 4 Veda when he was into the Gurukul. तो दशरथ ने भी वो पढ़ रखे थे. Even सीता के जो पिता थे, जनक, he was also very well versed with all 4 Ved. So that means there one more generation. अगर हम राम की जनरेशन से एक ऊपर जाते हैं, उनके पिता की जनरेशन, उनके दादा की जनरेशन तक जाते हैं, but even beyond, सांख्य की अगर हम आगे और भी बात करते हैं, राजा भगीरथ आप जानते हैं सभी, है ना? उसकी भी बात करते हैं, जो कि गंगा को लेकर आए, who brought Ganga on this earth. He was also, he was also he also know 4 Vedas. He was also made to learn the 4 Vedas. He was, predecessors. He was one of the predecessors of Lord Ram. वो उन्हीं के वंशज, राम जो है वो भगीरथ के ही वंशज हैं. उन्होंने भी 4 वेद पढ़े थे. So if we go back, we do not find the accurate time when the Vedas were written. So it's more than 10,000 years that the people have been talking about Ved. But since it becomes very difficult, to define the time period when it was already in the verbal form, to tell when Veds were propounded and they were, taught in the verbal forms. Even today, if one is made to learn the Veda, if we go to Gurukul and study, the Vedas are taught with a different pedagogies. इतना सब कुछ है वेद के अंदर, 4 याद रखना बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है. इतना सब कुछ उसके अंदर, इतने सूत्र है. तो उसकी एक पद्धति है जिसके थ्रू उसको पढ़ाया जाता है. आज भी वैसे ही पढ़ाया जाता है. And that remains a stream throughout the, from centuries, and also similar in every part of the country. But if we say when they were documented and we find the evidence for the Vedas, some say it is 350 BC, some say it is 6, some say 4, some say 8, some say 1500, some say 1000. So no accurate period of Ved is known, because these are centuries and centuries before written text, and the civilizations have changed so much. इतना सब कुछ धरती के नीचे दब गया, प्रलय आ गई, पानी आ गया, सब कुछ ध्वस्त हो गया, फिर से सिविलाइजेशंस खड़ी हुई. तो ये कह पाना और इनके अवशेष ढूंढ पाना वेदों के बहुत मुश्किल है. पर जो हमें डॉक्यूमेंट्री एविडेंस मिलता है इसके ऊपर, दैट इज, जस्ट अ सेकंड इंदु, आई एम इन अ क्लास में, अभी थोड़ी देर में बात करती हूँ इस सेशन में. सो जो हमारी नॉलेज इस वेद में है और जो डॉक्यूमेंट्री प्रूफ्स हमें मिलते हैं, वो वेरी करते हैं 1500 टू 800 BC, जो हमें इसकी पांडुलिपियां मिलती हैं उस हिसाब से. तो इसका एक्यूरेट टाइम पीरियड डिफाइन करना बहुत मुश्किल है. सो वी कंसिडर इट एज वन ऑफ द ओल्डेस्ट टेक्स्ट वी हैव इन आवर कंट्री टू बी प्रिजर्व्ड एज अवर इंडिजिनस नॉलेज. Then if we talk about Ayurveda, which is again 6,000 years, 5 to 6,000 years पुराना है आयुर्वेद भी हमारा. And this Ayurveda is also derived out of the 4 Ved. ये उसी में से सूक्त निकाले गए हैं जो हमारी हेल्थ मैनेजमेंट से रिलेटेड थे. So that knowledge has been derived out of the Ved itself, and has been compiled in a separate place of Ayurveda. And Ayurveda, if we understand Ayurveda in the literal meaning, it is a science of life. So it goes means we have how the science of life goes, and it has so many things like the therapies. It's a basically, if we say, it is a health management of our country, health management system of our country, which was propounded somewhere around 5,500 to 6,000 years before. Similarly, acupuncture. You must have heard about acupuncture. Yes or no? Please. Acupuncture, chaliye, dhanyavad. So there are yes and thumbs ups are coming up. Thank you. So if we talk about acupuncture, acupuncture कहाँ पर इजाद किया गया, ये कहाँ से निकला, कोई आइडिया है? साजिद जी, आप बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं, चाइना से। एक्यूपंक्चर चाइना से ओरिजिनेट हुआ बाय द इंडिजिनस पीपल ऑफ चाइना. सो एक्यूपंक्चर इज इंडिजिनस टू चाइना एंड दिस एक्यूपंक्चर ये भी इतना ही पुराना है जितना आयुर्वेद है. इट इज वन ऑफ द ओल्डेस्ट health management system of China, because China is again one of the oldest civilization on this earth. And this civilization, the indigenous people of China, they have propounded acupuncture, and that is known to be the traditional health management system of China. India, not only India is trying to preserve Ayurveda. आज हम उसको preserve कर रहे हैं, हम उसको बार बार इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. We are trying to integrate it with the modern, medicines. China is also doing the similar thing from years. They are also trying to preserve their indigenous knowledge, and they are now documenting a lot of things which has been mentioned into the acupuncture. And there is a lot of similarity, between the acupuncture and the Indian Ayurvedic system. बहुत सारी चीजों की similarity है, because both are based on the natural things. दोनों ही natural चीजों पे है. How your biological clock matches with the natural clock of the earth. How if you have to get a cure, that should be derived out of the natural plants which are grown in your vicinity. So the treatment should be taken out of those. The medicinal properties of the plant should be used to cure the diseases. And then to keep you fit, you have to perform certain exercises, you have to meditate, relax your mind. So all these health management system, आज जिसमें WHO ने जो definition दी है health management की, जिसमें they have considered mental health at a very later stage, and they have never discussed the thought process ever as a part of the health. आज तक लिया ही नहीं गया. आयुर्वेद के अंदर तो ये सारी बातें पहले ही कर दी गई. 6000 साल पहले आयुर्वेद में लिख दिया गया था, if you want to be healthy, you have to be physically, mentally, and at your subtle level, at your thought process level, you have to be healthy. Only then, because if you are thinking that I am ill, you will fall ill. So what kind of thought system you have to keep it healthy? They have meditation, relaxation therapies, वो already बहुत पहले आयुर्वेद में दे दी गई हैं. Then to keep you physically happy, that is व्यायाम, yoga, exercises, all these have already been given. And even if we fall ill, there is a natural treatment to all these diseases through the medicinal plants. उनके through, उनको use करते हुए there was a cure. So that is what the Ayurveda has been, and the Ayurveda is so very well interwoven into our lives that आज भी हम हजारों साल के बावजूद भी हम बहुत कुछ तो छोड़ चुके हैं अभी फिलहाल, पर still इसका काफी कुछ हमारे अंदर अभी बचता है. हम आज भी उसको मानते हैं. जैसे हल्दी का दूध पीते हैं हम लोग, सर्दी खांसी जुकाम होता है तो we consume honey and ginger, honey and black pepper. We use tulsi, हम तुलसी का काढ़ा बनाते हैं. We boil tulsi and we consume it, or we eat the leaves of tulsi. हम ये करते हैं. So all these things, all these things which we are utilizing, these are the part of our Ayurvedic system, which has been so interwoven into our daily lives that whatever, for small things, we never go and visit a doctor. We go for when we feel like, no, now it is a point, when we should visit a doctor, we go. Otherwise, for the small cures and all those things, and for the small burns and all these activities, we do not go. We have a cure at home. So Ayurvedic, that system was there, and we have, if we talk about all these informations, like use of the tulsi, use of neem, use of turmeric, and all these processes were patented by America once, and more than 100 patents were taken over by the America. Then India has to fight in the international court of the IPR that this is the indigenous knowledge of India, and then a country like America, which was not able to grow tulsi and which was not able to grow neem, they patented neem and tulsi. We would have been paying that country for the use of turmeric in our household, for the use of or for the growing of tulsi in our houses, and for the neem. उसके लिए भी हम पैसा अमेरिका को दे रहे होते, पर ये क्योंकि भारत की indigenous knowledge थी and India then proved it, so those patents were withdrawn. So if we go other than the Ved, the oldest texts that are found in our country are, Vedang. Vedang are, as the name suggests, these are the angas from the Ved. तो उसमें से derived out किए गए हैं, तो 6 वेदांग हैं हमारे, which are defined as शिक्षा, व्याकरण, छंद, निरुक्त, ज्योतिष and kalp. So these are the 6 Vedangs, and then we have 18 Purans. हमारे पास 18 महापुराण है. All these, and then all these महापुराण, like जिसमें बड़ा popular आते हैं हमारे विष्णु पुराण. Then we have शिव पुराण. We also have गरुड़ पुराण. तो इस तरह से हमारे पास 18 महापुराण है, and many उपपुराण. उपपुराण तो उसमें से बहुत सारे निकाले गए हैं. Then if we consider Ramayana and Mahabharata, these are considered to be the epics of our history. ये हमारे इतिहास का हिस्सा बनते हैं. Then, as a part of the indigenous knowledge, we have 6 schools of philosophy, which are Nyaya, Vaisheshika, then Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, and Vedanta. ऐसे हमारे 6 philosophical schools हैं. And Indian government has created a traditional knowledge digital library where they have, where they have created a repository which consists of 1200 formulations of the various systems of Indian medicine, and such as Ayurveda, Yunan, Siddh, and then postures also. जो हम 21 जून को अपना अंतरराष्ट्रीय योग दिवस मनाते हैं. On that yoga day, we distribute and we follow the booklet which has been given on the yoga, that is also uploaded on TKTL, and it has also been translated into the 5 various languages after when the America got Indian indigenous knowledge as patented. So उसको किया. तो ये सारी हमारी जैसे अगर हम होम्योपैथी की बात करें या यूनान की बात करें, तो यूनान comes from the German. So that comes from the Germany. And so we have different things, but still these systems of, acupuncture, Ayurveda, Yunan, homeopathy, it was used in the traditional times by the various countries, though propounded in any country. So if we see what are the various things that can be patented, that has been patented under the IKSs, यहाँ पर चाय को भी इसको पेटेंट किया गया है. हींग आप जानते हैं, हींग हमारे हर घर में इस्तेमाल होती है. Then योग. If we talk about Vastu Shastra, India was again very leading country in the study of energy of law. कि हमारे घर की दिशा कैसी होनी चाहिए, हमारे ऑफिस की कैसी होनी चाहिए. All these things, these were all based on the laws of energy. So for us, very understanding and methods. So the India has contributed a lot towards the various theorems and formulas and many other things and many concepts which different scattered nature of mathematics as well as physics. If we do craftsmanship, आप लोग अगर कहीं सुने हो बहुत सारी, इवन लंका जो बनी हुई जो राजा महल था, रावण का जो महल, वो भी क्राफ्टमैनशिप, वन ऑफ द आर्टिस्ट ऑफ द फेमस आर्किटेक्चर ऑफ इंडिया विश्वकर्मा। इवन जो भी ये मंदिर बना हुआ है, जो के बिहारी मंदिर आप देखे हैं इसमें वन में, ऑल वर क्राफ्टेड आर्किटेक्ट बाय की क्राफ्टमैनशिप अमेजिंग थी, इतनी अमेजिंग थी, इतनी फाइन और इतनी प्रिसाइज विश्वकर्मा यूज्ड टू डू। इतना महीन काम भी जो होता है, इतनी खूबसूरती से करते थे विश्वकर्मा के वो और उनकी अपनी टीम, कि वो खूबसूरती देखते बनती थी और बहुत परफेक्ट काम होता था इनका। सो लाइक दैट इट इज सेड दैट जो ये रावण की लंका जो थी, इवन दैट वाज डिजाइन्ड एंड आर्किटेक्ट बाय विश्वकर्मा। और इसकी दिस स्टोरीज गोज लाइक कि जब माता पार्वती को ना, मतलब द वाइफ ऑफ लॉर्ड शिवा, शी वाज इनवाइटेड बाय लक्ष्मी जी टू हैव फॉर सम गेट टुगेदर, लंच और डिनर विद हर। तो शिव जी मा किया, शिव रिफ्यूज हर, बट जैसे कि होता ही नहीं, बुलाया जहाँ पे होगा, दैट इज मोर अमंग द women. So she went. She the way the executor was saying was, so there she had a good party, and everybody was enjoying the food and the kitchen there, and it was such a glamorous, because since it is goddess Lakshmi, so the prosperity, the richness, the carving of the the house of her is very beautiful, again made by Vishnu. तो वहां पर लक्ष्मी जी ने कुछ बात कही जो पार्वती जी को बुरी लगती है कि भाई तुम्हारे इस तरह का महल ही है, बिकॉज योर हस्बैंड जो है ना वो तो घूमते रहते हैं इस तरह से, ये सारा अपना विभूत वगैरह लगाकर, राख वगैरह लगाकर इस तरह से घूमते हैं, तो आपके पास तो इतना सुंदर महल नहीं है, तो उसे बहुत बुरा लगता है। व्हेन शी रिटर्न बैक होम एंड देन शी वो जिद करती हैं फिर से अगेन टू शिव टू मेक हर एक बहुत अच्छा वो बनाया जाए, उनके लिए महल बनाया जाए, उसकी जिद करती है। तो जब विश्वकर्मा को बुला के महल बनाया जाता है तो वो रावण की लंका थी। कहते हैं इतना सुंदर था कि देन ऑन द डे व्हेन इट वाज being celebrated for the Graha Pravesh, all deities and all Devi Devtas were called, all major kings of the earth, they were called to celebrate the Graha Pravesh of that house. So the Parvati, the priest, those who were doing that, जो पुजारी वहां पर सब पंडित लोग वहां पर पूजा कर रहे थे, he was the grandfather of Ravana who came, जो आए और उन्होंने ये सब वहां पर उनका दर्शाया। तो कि मेरे को दक्षिणा में ही पंडित को दक्षिणा निकाल होता था, मर नहीं सकते थे, तो पति को बहुत गुस्सा आता है, कहते तेरा महल एक दिन जल के खाक हो जाएगा, that means it will be burnt into the ashes. And this is how Hanuman went to the Ravan and he burned that Lanka into ashes. So this is how the stories goes back, but the idea was that the craftsmanship of the Vishkarma was that perfect, that mesmerizing. He was so perfect in doing so. So there has been big dynasties. If we take over the period of indigenous time up to 18th century, there has been a very big major dynasties in our country, like Mauryan, Magad, Gupta, Vijayanagar dynasties were there. And there were so many invaders also. India has been invaded and ruled by the various intruders in once or at the same time or at the different times by the different rulers, like the Turks, Mughals, Greek, Dutch, French, Portuguese, and Britishers. They all came to India. But if we talk about the culture of indigenous people, it was Hinduism. And then 3 offshoot branches which come out of the people from the Hindus itself. If we talk about Mahavir, he was born into the family of Hindu. If we talk about Buddha, he was born as a son of the king in the Hindu family. Then if we talk about the Sikhism and Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he was also the son of the Hindu zamindar. And later on, how they attained the salvation and what was their journey, which they preached the people that this is how the salvation can be attained. It is derived out to be the 3 major, the culture of our country later on established as the culture. One was Buddhism, Jainism, and the Sikhism based on those. Then all these intruders, those who came to India, they brought with them their own culture, like Christianity, like Islam, Zoroastrianism, Judaism, Zoroastrians, Portugal culture, French culture, they brought together their own cultures. And now we see that India is having an overlapping and mixed culture in our country has evolved over the period of time in this modern time. So if we are talking about why IKM, हम इसको क्यों पढ़ें और क्यों पढ़ाएं? So why do we need IKM? If we talk about the indigenous studies of our country were based on the three basic principles. That is Gyan, Vigyan, and Jivan Darshan. So if, see, I have given you a reference of Ayurveda, though Ayurveda is somewhere around 6,000 years before, but it was basically based on the scientific calculation or the researches which has been done by the different people at the different time periods. They have derived out of the major topic. So by proving and experimenting on that, whatever scientific knowledge has been generated with us, it was associated in our lives through the life philosophies. Because Indian philosophy is one of the most serious philosophies and considered to be one of the most successful philosophy because it is inside looking. ये जो philosophies कि हमने schools की बात करी थी, that there are 6 schools of philosophy in our country. So all the 6 schools talk about inside and outside. So it doesn't make it more materialistic. And today the problem is we have gone so much materialistic that we are destroying the nature, we are destroying the mother, we are harming the various life forms on this earth. We are not living in coordination and together with the various life forms. So many landslides जो अभी हो रही हैं, हमने देश के हर कोने में देखा है. Somebody from the northeast here, कोई है northeast से यहाँ पर?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I am from Northeast Assam.
अच्छा, from जी. Okay.
Yes.
Who else?
From Goa.
I'm also
अच्छा, Manish, you from है ना? So there are so many rainfalls. There are flood in in the north these days. Assam बहुत face कर रहा है, जल भरा हुआ है. Hari, then Pannani ji is from the northeast. So you all people are facing so many natural damages.
Yes.
We have the there was in the house department, all was deteriorating. The board on top of the things today have been do the science undisturbed. We are facing many slides. We are facing people in अभी पहले भी flood और ऐसा Russian not going to us. So far we are in the different continents, accepting all these climate changes where it was that art glaciers have melted, like that is why we are so multiple disasters facing overrunning of river heat then it was that all glaciers so much amount of big glaciers has taken place. So we will not be having any use of drinking water if there's जैसे ऐसे पिघल रहे हैं और आगे बढ़ जाए हैं. तो अगर हम of environment की बात करते हैं, so it is very important that we connect our as students with the preservation of environment values, how to preserve the trees, how to conserve the forest, how to save the different life forms. In the name of climate change, only Amazon company in America is cutting 1 crore trees in the Amazon forest to deliver the online products. This data which I am sharing is of 2020. आप समझ लीजिए कि इन 5 सालों के अंदर ऑनलाइन का ट्रेंड कितना ज्यादा हो गया है. हम कितना सामान मंगाते हैं, and if we do not like, then we return it back. हम उसको वापस कर देते हैं. So then we call the new, उसका हम बदलवा भी लेते हैं, exchange भी होता है. How much cardboards that are being made for the हमने ये कहा कि plastic, the removal of plastic we have cutted the trees hugely. अब इतने जंगल खा चुके हैं. Recently I visited Nainital, Uttarakhand. There was on the way while visiting to Uttarakhand from Delhi, kilometers and kilometers of jungle used to appear. जब हम वहां जाते थे और हम रामनगर से निकलते हैं आगे नैनीताल के लिए, there was a big forest and the elephants used to travel on the way. वहां पे चीता और ये बहुत आम है. चीता बहुत मिल जाएंगे आपको, और बाघ निकलते मिल जाएंगे, और आपको वहां पे हाथी अक्सर देखने को मिल जाते थे. Now this time when I visited after few years, I found that jungle has been shedded. That forest has been cut off. I could see, the dryness, and the space जहां पर पहले जंगल के अंदर डर डालते थे ना दोनों तरफ से, तो डर लगता था. We used to fear while crossing that road. It was dense. Now you can see the clean roads there, and you can see up to a distant level the tree has been cut off from that jungle. So if we talk about the preservation of environment, if we are replacing the plastic with the cutting of trees, we need to teach our children. We need to teach this present generation, which is so populous. We need to give them those values of conservation. As Japan has revived the concept of minimalization, we also have to revive our own values for the preservation of the environment, where we never we have never harmed even the smallest insect, not the smallest tree. So every tree has been made worshipable in our education system, in our value system. Like if we talk about Triveni, Triveni क्या है? बड़, नीम एंड पीपल, ये 3 पेड़ जिनको हम लगाते हैं, हम कहते हैं ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश इसमें वास करते हैं. सो व्हाई दे हैव बीन एसोसिएटेड लाइक दैट? इवन तुलसी, वी ग्रो तुलसी एट आवर हाउस, हम ग्रो करते हैं अपने यहाँ पर. तो दिस तुलसी इज नोन टू बी द क्वीन ऑफ हर्ब्स. आयुर्वेद में अगर आप पूछे तो इट इज नोन टू बी द क्वीन ऑफ हर्ब्स, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द आयुर्वेदिक मेडिसिन कंटेन तुलसी in it. And it is said that if it is there in your house, there will be no disease in your family. But the thing is, now we have grown it only for the sake of the decoration. We don't consume it in the way we used to do it in the earlier times. So preservation of environment by making them worshipable, or by preserving them, that was one approach of preserving such kind of things. What we are talking about, bud, neem and people, ये जो 3 पेड़ हैं, they are the maximum purifying agents on this earth. America has tried hard to grow tulsi, but they failed. They have tried hard to grow neem. अगर हम जीवन के अंदर जितना हम ऑक्सीजन लेते हैं ना, हमारी वैल्यू सिस्टम कहती है that we should return back to whatever we owe to anybody. जितना हम दूसरों से लेते हैं, हमें उतना दे देना चाहिए. तो इस पृथ्वी पर हम सब लोग हैं, we consume lot of oxygen for survival. If we grow one neem tree in our life, once in our life, and only one tree, we can compensate for oxygen that we will be inhaling for our lifelong. So that is a return to the nature by growing a neem tree. So if we're growing three of these trees, that neem, bud, and people, they are the trees which purifies the this up to the 98%, up to 100%, and up to 95%. No other tree do so, and that is why it is worshipped in our country. इनको हम पूजते हैं, इसलिए पूजते का पेड़ कभी नहीं काटा जाता था. पीपल का पेड़ कभी नहीं काटा जाता था, That was the reason. And even these like जामुन का पेड़, और इस तरह के और कई प्लांट्स हैं, जैसे शीशम हो गया, ये सारी चीजें हैं, ये भी बहुत हेल्प करते हैं, पर परसेंटेज वेरीज. इनमें से बहुत सारे ट्रीज ऐसे हैं जो 70%, 80% प्यूरिफाई करते हैं, पर ये चीजें हैं जो मैक्सिमम प्यूरिफाई करते हैं. इसलिए इनको गांव के शुरू में लगाया जाता था, the entrance of any village, because earlier we used to stay in the village, but no इस तरह के शहर का जो कॉन्सेप्ट था, उन शहरों के भी लगाए जाते थे. बिकॉज शहरों के अंदर भी क्या होता था, there were big entrance gates were there, and at the outer of that there were so many big people का ये बड़ा पेड़ लगा. बस these three purifies the air. तो जो आ रहा है वो बीमारी ना लेकर आए, जो जा रहा है वो भी ना लेकर जाए. So that was a concept. So we need to teach our children this concept, this values of preserving the environment through our indigenous values, becoming more human. If we hold these values, the entire world, it will always be giving back to the nature. हमेशा हर इंडिजिनस वैल्यू में हर देश की मैसेज मिलता है, नेचर के साथ रहो और नेचर को ही वापस करो. Express your gratitude towards the nature. That expression of gratitude towards the nature can only help to inculcate the values in our students. And how come those values can be inculcated? Once we ask them to express their Saresh Kumar ki definition of development should be revisited. In development, we have eaten away everything. Not only our natural resources, we have eaten away the values of humanity. We have eaten away the happiness in our lives. We have eaten away the the societal structure of our societies. सब कुछ कम कर गए हैं. अब सामाजिक आना बाना, ढांचा, अपनी नैतिकता, अपने मूल्य, अपने रिश्ते, अपनी खुशियां. We have given in development. Development is directly proportional to the materialistic growth. India, though, was one of the most, materialistic country in terms of GDP, because at one time the India used to contribute towards 7% of the GDP used to come from India. We were a prospering state, but at the same time we had values. But now we always say that if you have to do a business and if you have to earn money, then values should be the first thing that you should go with. वैल्यूज छोड़कर ही सब किया जा सकता है, जबकि हमारे सामने से एग्जांपल्स हैं लाइक रतन टाटा who was the owner of the multinational company which existed in many countries. Too, he was also big tycoon into the business industry, but still he follows values to such an extent that whenever there was one collaboration, when Tata ended, there was one collaboration with one country, I'm forgetting the name, से निकल गया है, उन्हीं के साथ इन्होंने कोलैबोरेट किया. And after doing the collaboration, they found इनके यहाँ पर ही in their own factories there was certain kind of mistake, and the other collaborative company, they sued Tata for crores of penalty. And when Ratan Tata he identified that was mistake, he felt obviously और अपनी गलती मानी. So this how it can be done well. से किया जा सकता है. A similar example comes from the Pepsi company. You all know that Coca-Cola is the most globally available company. इसका जो Coca-Cola product है पूरे world में देखने मिलेगा. And the clear taste of Coca-Cola comes from one trade secret, which is known to very few people, and which is restricted to the few people, and only those they can make that formula. वो एक trade secret के तौर पर है जो बहुत कम लोग जानते हैं. So once there was a person who knows the trade formula, that trade secret of the Coca-Cola, he went to meet a person from the Pepsi and asked him if he can bribe, so much of amount, so much of dollars, he will sell that trade formula then. वो उन trade secret जो उनको दे दे. But you know what Pepsi did? अगर Pepsi चाहती तो ले सकती थी और कोका कोला से आगे नहीं सकती थी. उस वक्त सी striving to become expand itself, और वो अपने आप को बढ़ाना चाह रही थी, और काफी it was वो कंपनी अभी काफी नीचे थी as compared to कोका कोला. उसकी टर्नओवर इतनी नहीं थी, but though one of the biggest brand Pepsi again, but what Pepsi did, उन्होंने लेने से साफ इनकार कर दिया. Sorry, we will not buy it from you. Rather, they informed Coca-Cola that such and such person of your company is disloyal to you. And that wasn't thrown out, obviously, by the Coca-Cola company. But this practice of Pepsi was based on the ethical practices of business. ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर हम ethical practices करते हैं तो हम अपने business को नहीं चाह सकते. पर हम बच्चों को इसमें पढ़ाते क्या है? हम इस तरह के examples देने की बजाय, इस तरह के case studies करने की बजाय, teach them that if you have business, you have to forgo your values. If you have to earn profit, you have to compromise on your values and ethical practices, which is not at all true. And as a gratitude towards the company, जब लोगों को पता लगा कि this is how the Pepsi has done, और उसने इतनी अच्छी अपनी ethical practices करी हैं, Pepsi की sales बढ़ गई, multi-fold बढ़ गई, लोग उसको trust लग गए. This company is reliable, this is trustworthy, और उसकी net worth बढ़ गई Pepsi की. So we do appreciate ethical practices into the business, and we also help the business grow. जितनी भी green companies अपने आप को declare करती हैं, हम उनके products पहले खरीदते हैं. We also see कि how much amount, at most of purchases these days, they say that 1 rupee will go to Feed India, 1 rupee will go to UNO, 1 rupee will go, or 10 rupees will go to the World Health Organization to feed these people, or the malnutrited, or to serve the children. हम उसका वहां से ज्यादा खरीदते हैं. हम उसे कहते हैं 10 रुपए हमारा जाए, अच्छा है. So let us buy this product, or जिनको नहीं कर रहा. So we still appreciate you, but we teach lose values if it comes to teaching and inculcating the values. So if we really want to be more sustainable, we have to look forward toward these principles, that whatever knowledge we are generating, whatever it will be scientific in nature, and it should be combined with the philosophies of the lives. Because jitni bhi hum researches kar le, if they are of no use to the common people, it has no relevance. This is what the indigenous says. So that should benefit the communities, that should benefit the nature, that should come, as a gratitude. हम कुछ वापस कर पा रहे हैं, हमारा योगदान इस तरह से होना चाहिए, that should affect the life of the people. So life of the people are based basically on the philosophy. So ये उनके साथ जुड़ जाना चाहिए. That is why most of the values are practiced as a part of our cultural rituals and our as a rich heritage of संस्कार, जिसको हम बोलते हैं, उसकी तरह प्रैक्टिस किए जाते हैं. Because we hope for a better future. हम ये चाहते हैं कि आने वाला भविष्य भी खूबसूरत हो. If we really wish that the coming time should be beautiful and we create the beautiful societies, we should go back and visit our indigenous knowledge and then integrate, do such kind of researches which can be integrated into our classroom teaching, which can affect the philosophy of their lives, which can blend with their lives in such a way they have that they really have attitude towards the ethics. इसीलिए indigenous knowledge की बहुत जरूरत है कि हम उसे अपने कोर्स क्यूरिकुलम के माध्यम से इंटीग्रेट करें. Wherever we have, UGC ये कह रहा है जहां पर भी हमारे पास इस तरह की इंफॉर्मेशन है, उसको हम अपने सिलेबस में डालें, चाहे वो वैल्यूज के ऊपर है, चाहे वो वैदिक मैथमेटिक्स पे है, चाहे वो हमारे हिस्ट्री है, चाहे वो लीडरशिप क्वालिटीज है, चाहे वो हमारी मैनेजमेंट है, चाहे वो हमारी आर्ट एंड कल्चर है, फोक म्यूजिक डांसेस है, our old architectures है, that could be preserved, that should be taught into our classrooms. We have various disciplines, chemistry है, metallurgy है, extraction